Hello, 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 and welcome to not the podcast, but it is the Invictus IRL Season 9 announcement stream. And we are getting ready to gear up for the ninth season here at Invictus Racing League. And I'm joined, as always, by Sab, but as a special guest tonight by MJ Coop. Good evening, boys. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's good to have Coop along with us. It's going to be a very exciting evening this evening to learn all about what we've got planned for the upcoming season, new rule changes, the new calendar, what probably everybody will be excited to hear about, and of course the reason why Coop's here tonight.
Yeah, and as I said, guys, it's going to be hopefully all of you can get your teeth into some pretty interesting information throughout the evening. Of course, big season ahead of us, and of course, if you are new to us and you haven't listened to the podcast before, of course, my voice is that of Gareth, otherwise known as Captain Stiff, one of the admins for the F1 League, and equally, I do a lot of work on the website and on the social media. Sab is my co-commentator on Monday nights for the F1 League, and equally races in F2 and will be the admin for the F2 League this season alongside MJ Coop, who is he does a lot of work with the Facebook and has been working extremely hard to get this very exciting Hall of Fame set up. So yeah, congratulations to you guys for what was a successful season for you both last season, but getting into the champions, and we'll have a quick look over last season. And in fact, we'll start on Monday nights. And Monday nights was previously the No Assist League, which will be the F1 League moving forward. And it was FPL Charlie who took the Drivers' Championship. And Coop, it was your first season in No Assist, running fully No Assist. I believe you had the racing line off as well. How did you find it? Just getting a little bit of info from the stream that Coop, if your sound seems to be really quiet, if you want to just check over that, whether you're, yeah, just check that. That's all right, no worries. But yeah, and Sab, we commentate on Monday nights, and I mean we discussed last week in the podcast, and equally towards the end of last season, the final race. But it was a fantastic season for FPL Charlie, debut season in the No Assist League, and it was a titanic battle between himself and Scott. Went down to the final race of the season. Scott needed to win the race and get that fastest lap. He did all he could. He got both of those, but unfortunately, Charlie coming home making it a Mercedes 1-2. They picked up the Constructors' Championship, but Charlie, without that win throughout the season, though, but a fantastic result for him coming in and really putting down a marker.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He started off a little slowly, didn't he? But I think that was due to him getting into the rhythm of the league. But I think once he got to the halfway stage and he'd really got settled into this league, there was no real looking back for him. He was getting those consistent podiums, consistently high scoring points, and eventually winning the league. Like you say, it was another fantastic season in No Assist. I've absolutely enjoyed being alongside you, commentating on this league. It's setting themselves up, isn't it, nicely for next season now, with the likes of Charlie giving it to his teammate Boy Better Know, and you've got White Fountain in there, Speed Queen, who you can never write off, and many others in there. It's sure to be a really fascinating battle next season. Now Charlie has thrown his hat in the ring there and said, "Don't count me out. I can do this," and he certainly did.
Yeah, and it's going to be, as you say, it's going to be a fascinating season next season with so many big hitters in the Invictus community in F1 next season, and equally a nice gaggle of new drivers that will be very hungry for some decent results next season. So cannot wait for that one, and we'll be kicking off in a few weeks' time, and of course Monday nights with Sab and I in the commentary box for that one. On to Tuesday nights, and it's our realistic performance league, and of course you get allocated week to week a different card depending on its performance and your performance in the previous races. And it was a third time or three time in a row for Mr. Sky Z, the Frenchman, taking home what was a much well, it felt like it was coming later in the season. He seemed to really push for it. He was picked up a lot more wins this season compared to his previous seasons. And Coop, looking at someone like Sky Z, 3 championships in a row, and it's something that you've really got to work hard to achieve something well that impressive, really.
Yeah, completely agree on that one. Yeah, it's very difficult to win one championship, never mind 3. So, and in the performance league with the allocations, um, uh, you have a couple of good races, and then you get the slower cars. It's very tricky to get the momentum going when you're changing cars every week and car setups every week. So, yeah, to win 3 on the trot, the guy's clearly doing something better than everybody else, and muchly deserved.
Yeah, and it was yeah, another fantastic result for Sky Z, and it was himself and Scopefielder who took home the Constructors' Championship in that. And talking about Scopefielder, of course, the Swede, he was our F1 champion for the second time in a row. The equal performance on Wednesday nights, 3 leagues on a Wednesday night there was last season, F1, F2 and F3. And Scopefielder, he left after his 100th race in last season, and will be taking a little bit of a break from the game. But two F1 championships in a row, countless constructors championships, a no assist tier 2 title, a realistic performance title. Sab, Scopefielder, and I mean, you've said in the past you're a big fan of Scopes, and to do what he's done in a relatively short amount of time here at Invictus is pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And he finished the season off with 100 races with the league, which is a nice round number, isn't it? It'll be great to see him back eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later. He's a fierce competitor, a fair competitor as well. He will go wheel to wheel with you, but every time I've gone up against him, I've always had a great battle with him. Unfortunately for me, though, it's usually I've come out the worst of the two, but he's a nice guy to chat with off track as well, and all the wins, the championships, he's definitely going to go down as one of the greats in Invictus.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Scopefielder was your equal performance F1 champion alongside Jos Heinze in the Renault team for the constructors. So a double championship to finish off for Scope there. On to F2, and it's a league that both you two will be adminning next season. But Coop, how did you find the F2 season last season? With Warrislander, of course, pretty dominant after not scoring a single point until the 5th race of the season. He seemed to really switch it on for that sort of final 7 races.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. He seemed to have found the sweet spot, and it did coincide with a race previously to that where he was disqualified. Had a few, appeals and run-ins with the stewards, but after that he seemed to get his head down, and whatever he did, he bounced back in the right way, and absolutely went on a phenomenal winning streak. And as we'll probably get onto a little bit later, some of the statistics, some of the stats he managed to rack up, some of them do stand among the great guys at Invictus. So, yeah, phenomenal drive from Warrislander. In what was a fairly competitive F2 league this season, we saw a couple of other guys getting 2 wins. Biofreak, who's a new driver, and also Tanker, who's another new driver. They both got 2 wins each. So there weren't many people who won races in F2 this season, and that shows you how competitive it was, really.
Yeah, and totally agree. And F2, I think, was really fun to be part of. Of course, myself and Meg Lugby took away the Constructors' Championship with a pretty consistent season. Not maybe not one that either of us was massively. I think both of us thought we could have maybe have done a little bit better. But yeah, it was the McLarens that pulled the Constructors away in F2 last season. But F2 looking like it's going to be pretty strong next season, and Warrislander will be moving up to F1. So he'll be racing on Monday nights. So we we will have a new F2 champion next season, and that will be with Energy Dan, and the Warrislander himself will be back commentating on a Wednesday night, hopefully. So make sure you tune in with them on Wednesday nights. And on to F3, and Sab, you were racing in F3 last season, so you're probably the best one to speak to about this. And Ferocious Dan, he finally got that championship at the third time of asking. And what was he like on track this season?
He was very, very good this season. He had a few DNFs along the way, but it just proves how dominant he really was, because he really ran away with that championship quite comfortably in the end. If he was at the front 9 times out of 10 last season in F3, you weren't going to catch him or you weren't going to overtake him. He knew how to knew how to get qualifying sorted as well, even on the harder tyre. Ferocious Dan, he was very quick last season, and going into next season F2, I think he could get a few people looking over their shoulders, because he's definitely now proven that he's quick enough for F2, and stepping up into that league next season, I think people will see really how quick he is, because like I say, he was absolutely dominant. He was alongside his long-time teammate F1 Richard, and them two once again picking up the Constructors' Championship in the McLaren. So F1 Richard, I think he'll be probably going to miss his long-time friend in F3 as Dan moves up. But overall, a successful season for Dan. He's like I say, he's going to be one to watch next season.
Yeah, F3, that makes Dan a one-time Drivers' Champion, 2-time Constructors, almost 3 in fact, because 2 seasons ago the McLarens just missed out to the Williams team in the Constructors' Championship. So it's been a very fruitful 3 seasons for the McLaren team. Plenty of wins, plenty of podiums, and several trophies to take back to Woking from Ferocious Dan and F1 Richard. So yeah, they were your champions last season, guys, and we're going to have new champions in what looks like every single league, potentially, apart from if Skyzy can possibly make it 4 in a row. So, yeah, a lot of action you'll be able to find on track in just a few weeks' time, and we will get to the calendar very shortly. Don't worry, we've got the exciting announcement of that coming up. But just to run through the next few minutes of the stream, we'll go over a few rule changes and how the leagues will be structured going forward. There have been a couple of small tweaks and small changes just to make things a little bit better, a little bit more fluid and in line with Formula 1. And first on the list is no assists, as I said, is merging with F1 League from Wednesday. So the no assists will become just IRL F1, and it will run on a Monday, of course, with Sab and I in the commentary box, and it will allow the racing line for this season only, and after this season it will be turned off completely. So F1 will just become a full no assists, but not being known a no assists. It will just be IRL F1. And Coop, do you think this is a move in the right direction? We put our fastest drivers on a Monday night in front of the audience to watch, and they get to battle it out and really prove who's the best when it comes to driving around completely, just one of them in the car as one, really.
Yep, 100%. Completely agree with that. I think it's something that, in my opinion, has been needed to be done for a while. But obviously for numerous reasons, it's not quite worked out why we've not done it until now. But yeah, I think it, as you say, the Monday nights, it gives us a chance to, put what I think is the best drivers, the guys that don't have any sort of driver aids or anything like that. Very similar to what you see on the esports guys, or even in real life, if you want to look at it that way. So yeah, the guys that drive fully no assist, and yet one thing as well is, I used to watch the Monday nights for a number of years, and I think the way that people have developed, getting quicker, we're now seeing that the what was the no assist league is now was becoming the quickest league. You can look at the pole position times, what people were setting, and they were easily stacking up against our quickest assist drivers. So whereas in past seasons it wasn't quite, due to numerous reasons, the times were not quite as quick, and so I don't think the no assist league got probably the recognition it did. But now we've got some new guys that came in the season just gone, and are really pushing the limits and the boundaries. And yeah, so I completely agree with that. I think it's the right thing to do, and really looking forward to watching again on the sidelines and see how it unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that's Monday nights, Sab and I in the commentary box, and cannot wait for that season to start up again. And Sab and I was just saying before the stream how it's very strange not being busy on a Monday night at the moment. But on to Tuesday nights, and it will be the IRL Realistic Performance League, just changing its name ever so slightly, but it is Realistic Performance as usual on a Tuesday night with Tim and Malc in the commentary box for that one. And Sab, having competed in the Performance League for several seasons and multiple years, are you expecting that same intensity from the field, not knowing race to race who was going to take that win?
Yeah, most definitely. Performance League, a realistic Performance League, always gives you that air of uncertainty at times, especially when the cars are allocated weekly. You just don't know how the faster guys will react to a slower car. And I've had several battles with the faster guys in slower cars, and it's still not easy, even when they are in the supposed cars. And with a few extra potential people coming into the Performance League next season, it's going to make it even more mouth-watering to watch and even harder to compete in. So as much as I'm looking forward to it, I'm also going to probably be anxious as well, because it's one of those, like I say, one of those leagues where it can be really tough, because you can have these really fast guys and they can really press you and make you sweat and push you to the limit in these cars. And that's why I ultimately love the racing in the realistic league, is because it gives everybody an opportunity to be able to compete, and it's not always a case of the faster guys being out in front, long in the distance, and not being seen again. It gives opportunities for everybody to have a battle, and hopefully same again next season, and fingers crossed somebody else can push Sky Z all the way for that title.
Yeah, absolutely, and expect that one to be as explosive as ever. And of course, that is Tim and Malc on Tuesday nights in the commentary box for that one. On Wednesday nights, it used to be 3, it's now down to 2, and it's F2 and F3. So it's going to be 2 of what has been quite notoriously over the last few seasons, so been the most competitive leagues that we've had here in Invictus, and some really fun races and over the past few seasons, and they'll be IRL F1 and IRL F2, sorry, and IRL F3. And as I said previously, Energy Dan and the Warrislander will be covering F2, and Tim and Malc will be covering F3. Although we may be able to try and look at a few other commentators. Of course, we are always on the lookout for new commentators for league. So if you'd like to have a go, please let us know and come in and join us. It's great fun, and it definitely tests you and keeps you on your toes. But yeah, they will be our 2 leagues on a Wednesday night. And Coop, F2 and F3. As someone who's been going through the stats recently, multiple race winners over different seasons, you don't often tend to see one person run away with it in the sort of the lower leagues. I say lower leagues, but until Warrislander this season kind of really sort to dominate in F2, they're definitely two of the more competitive leagues that we have here in Invictus.
Yeah, definitely agree, and I think even more so this season we've got in both leagues, we've got people who've already won races, and we've got people who are capable of any. I mean, there's a number of drivers in both leagues. In F2, I think there's probably 5 or 6 drivers who could easily win the title, and same in F3. You know, with Dan moving up to F2, which I think Dan will be one to keep an eye on in F2. But also we've still got a couple of guys in F3 now, so you know that void's gone. We need some people to step up, and we've got the likes of Stephen, F1 Richard, some guys that have been with us for quite a while now, and they've still not quite broke their duck and on the winning a race. So we could see one of these guys finally step up to the mark. Still some established names down there. I think Mike may be still in that league, I'm not sure. We've still got Craig down in that league, as well as some other guys. So yeah, I think both leagues, and going back to F2 with the guys, a couple of the assist drivers that have now dropped into F2, I think both leagues could be explosive as ever, and I wouldn't like I wouldn't like to put any money on who's going to win either of them, because I think at the minute there's just so many people that could win races and win the leagues.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree with you there. It's always great fun watching them back, and yeah. So if you have missed any of last season, of course, go back and watch the playlist from season 8 here on this YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, what are you doing? Press the subscribe button, and in fact, ding the bell as well. You'll be notified every time we go live with a stream. Of course, all races now streamed live here to YouTube. So you can get directly onto the site and find out what race you want to watch by clicking on the subscribe button and then going to the bell and being notified when we go live. And now on to an addition to the rules, and addition to the penalty system as when it comes to the stewarding. And what we'll be introducing this season is a driver license, much like how they run in Formula One, as having almost like a super license. And each driver will be given a base level, and for if you are involved in any instance throughout the season, minor through to major, you may or may not incur penalty points that will go on that license. So you may get a 1 point penalty or up to a 3 point penalty, and obviously if you're involved in multiple incidents during a race, you may incur multiple penalties. And that is purely to kind of keep this driver behaviour to a minimum. We don't want to see anything happening untoward on the circuit, or keeping driver attitude, driver behaviour, but I've also driver etiquette on track to its utmost, really, because of course here at Invictus we do pride ourselves on our mature racing and conducting ourselves properly on track and off. So this driver license system, and Sab, it's something that we've talked about for a while, and it's definitely a positive, isn't it? Because it keeps those drivers from maybe not making that rash move that they might regret afterwards.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a great idea. I think like you say, it just makes people just have a think a bit more about potential moves, and realise that a dive bomb, for example, might not do anybody any favours and could cost you big time. From my point of view in racing, I've very rarely, thankfully, come across any crazy incidents or moves like that. I think it just shows the way these leagues are run. I think we've had a lot of fair races. Obviously, in time you are going to get the odd one or two, but that's with anything, isn't it? But overall, I think we do have fair races here, and I think to add this into it just solidifies, I think, how we want to go about racing, and how we want people to behave on track and as off track as well, and for everybody, really, just to have a good race out there and to ultimately enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and effectively that's what it's here for, and we really do encourage all of our members and our community to come here and have fun. That's why we do this. We just want to make sure that when you're here that you are having fun, that you're not leaving frustrated, you're not leaving angry. And I think by introducing a system that does punish, not overtly, and I don't think it's anything. We're not here to obviously police it too harsh, but it is something I believe will enhance the ability for these guys here to just watch maybe what they're doing. We have seen an influx, of course, across several different. As the game has progressed, we see people getting perhaps a little bit more frustrated with it and doing things they shouldn't do. So yeah, the penalty system will be coming in with the penalty points, and it will be 3 penalty points if that's accumulated. That will be a 2 driver championship point deduction, so 2 points taken off your championship total. 6 penalty points over the season will be a 1 race suspension. 9 penalty points will be 10 driver championship point deduction, and 12 penalty points, as you would see, it would be will be a season ban, because 9 penalty points would be pretty harsh. I think you'd have to be involved in quite a lot of incidents of a severe nature. We do only penalising 3 points at a time would it be for very severe incidents with multiple cars involved. But if you want to check out the penalty points and the new penalty system, guys, make sure you go to the rules section on the website, and equally go into the forum and go to the steward's office, where all of the new rules are put down, and equally how they will be penalised, to make sure that you're not caught out by anything next season. And moving on, and this is slightly in line with this new penalty point system, is the way that we'll be releasing penalties. And previously we've gone for position penalties, which can be slightly unfair at times. You can be given a 3-place penalty, and it might cost you what would be the effect of 40-50 seconds at times. So Coop, from this season forward, we'll be going with time penalties, much like Formula 1 do, and moving from the likes of an official reprimand for maybe something that's a first offence, but then a 5-second penalty up to a 10-second penalty, and subsequent offences maybe a 20-second penalty, but then you'd be incurring licence points issues with that. And what's your feeling with moving to this more aligned with actual Formula 1, as we see with the time penalties rather than position penalties?
Yeah, I think again another good idea. I think you can have a driver who maybe wins a race by 20 seconds, and if they get a 2-position penalty, they drop down to 3rd place. But a time penalty, if they got a time penalty, which is, like you say, in line with what they're doing real Formula 1, then that maybe doesn't punish them as much. Or if they've drove such a great dominant race, it's not such a hindrance like a 5-position penalty where you could even be a lap ahead of the 5th place guy. But so yeah, I also like the fact that it does align with the real Formula 1 and the reprimands as well. So it gives people a bit of a heads up, a warning, rather than coming straight in, not read the rules properly and breaking the rules, or some not intentionally. But it's just a way, to get people understand how we like to race here, what our etiquette is. But then obviously subsequent offences, you start applying time penalties, which I think, as I've already said, I think it's a lot fairer.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. So yeah, make sure, guys, to go to the rules and procedures section, where you can check through all the rules, and equally to the steward's office, where you can find out how penalties will be dished out this season moving forward with the new time penalties, and equally with the new driver license and the super license here in Invictus. So we'll be changing it up, but hopefully it'll be for the better. It makes it a lot more transparent when it comes to the stewards being able to look at the track. But equally with the stewards, we're hoping that all issues, you have 24-hour after the 24-hour window after the race finishes to put in any requests into that steward's office. So anything after the 24 hours will unfortunately not be accepted. This just lets us move the process on and keep it relatively swift, and they will then have a 48-hour window to make their or to look through the incident, collect any evidence that they need to collect, and then present their findings. When they'll do that in the forum, in the stewards' findings, and equally the stewards will let you know in the chat, in your PSN chat that you will be involved in. If you're part of the league, they'll let you know what the subsequent penalty is, whether it is a no further action all the way up to a potential 20-second penalty or subsequent driver license points. So yeah, that can all be found on the website, guys. So make sure you've checked that out before the start of next season. Absences. We do know that people do miss the occasional races, and they do need to go off on for leave on certain reasons. So what we are hoping for this season, and we will be keeping a quite tight eye on this, in a close eye I should say, is you will be allowed 2 unnotified absences this season. So with a third, it will result in league removal. So make sure if you are planning on missing a race that you do let us know. Of course, unnotified absences, it's a nightmare for the admins. Unfortunately, they have to make sure that they've counted everyone. We don't want to be waiting around and then occasionally one person just tell us 5 minutes before that they're not planning on turning up, or equally not telling us at all and giving us a reason the next day. And then equally, if you are notifying us, make sure you're doing it at least, if possible, before 7 p.m. and you will be allowed 3 notified absences, and a fourth will be a removal from the league. And except for, of course, if it's pre-announced holiday or any particular reason that you've told the admins, ideally up to a fortnight in advance. So if you have got any holiday that you're planning over the Christmas period and in this next season, make sure you tell your admin as soon as possible so they can plan and you don't get an unnotified absence against your name. So yeah, guys, that's just the new rules when it comes to the unnotified absences. And next few things is the Invictus, and it's the premium membership that you can have here at Invictus. And Coop, the premium membership, it's a £5 donation that we started to collect at the start of last season. We're starting to enact it this season, and with its perks, we're obviously hoping that. Well, we're not hoping. We're guaranteeing you that you'll have a seat here in the Canada or the grid for this season. You'll get car choice priority, and you'll get teammate choice priority. There we go. Managed to get it out in the end. We've got plenty of other perks like name and running, or your personalised records in the Hall of Fame, and the chance to win an end of season giveaway, which would be a £20 PSN voucher. So that's over 3 months PSN, I believe it is. So Coop, it's a good move forward. It's an incentive for these drivers to donate to the league, because it's really helping us grow and it's helping us achieve essentially growth for us. We get to incentivize these drivers to come here, maybe get in that car they want, maybe get that teammate they want, but then equally they once we're financially viable, getting things like trophies for these drivers, and it's a step in the right direction for us.
Yeah, I agree completely, and it's something that a number of other racing leagues have done before. It's something we've been talking about for a while, but we only managed to really start implementing part of it, like you said, beginning of last season, but we're only now really in the position where we can actually start applying the benefits with the new season upon us. As you pointed out, it's a way for members who value the community, members who really appreciate what the site and the community does, and want to put something back in. Maybe they don't have time to help out or do other jobs in other ways, but it's a way for people to put something in, helps the site grow. It always goes to other things like there's a lot of costs behind the scenes that people probably don't realise, like website costs, server running costs for hosting websites, this type of thing. And also one thing we want to do as well is we have these people who are winning the leagues every year, these champions that at the minute we have very little to show from it. And as a thing we'll be getting onto soon is recognising people who have achieved a lot. It's also, like you say, with the trophies, I think is something that I personally think I'm very keen on getting on with, and obviously the more donations. I mean, you said the word donations. I hate that word. The more people that decide to purchase a premium membership, it basically pledges their support for the community, allows us to reward those that are successful, those that are committed, and as you've already added, it also helps us grow. And there is a little thing in there, to win a £20 or €20 PlayStation voucher, but for £5, if you won that, you're already up for a number of seasons. So for me, it's a no-brainer. And if you believe in what the community and the site are doing, then it just gives you. I mean, it doesn't give you an edge in terms of the racing, but certainly I know some people prefer certain cars due to the engine tones and this type of thing and the way it looks. And if that type of thing helps you, get where you want to be, then I would fully urge people to get on board. £5, I mean, or €5 thereabouts. I mean, what's that in Amsterdam or in London or somewhere? It's pretty much a pint of lager. So, and that's for one season, which lasts for 12 weeks. So, for me, it's almost nothing. It's a no-brainer, and I think it really will go a long way to helping the site and the community grow.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a completely voluntary run league, guys. Everything goes on behind the scenes that is paid for out of our own pocket when it comes to website hosting and the like, and any sort of promotion that we do. And we've got the likes of some decal stickers on some members' racing cars that are actually race around the real track. So yeah, it all comes out. So all of your support really goes back into making us better. We're planning on moving and changing how we look and changing a lot of pretty big things in the future that we've got planned that could be really exciting, and your help and your premium memberships are really helping push towards that. And equally, as Coop said, that giveaway that gives you the chance to set yourself up on the grid here for at least another 2 or 3 seasons, and getting that car choice priority and teammate. Of course, it might be that you've got a particular eye on someone, perhaps last season's champion, that you'd like to have as your teammate, and you can get in there early and snap them up whilst everyone else is waiting. So it is a completely first come first serve. So if you haven't got your donation, as Cooper said, he doesn't like that word. if you haven't got your premium membership in already, make sure you do. And of course, it's completely non-compulsory. This is purely just almost like a tip jar. If you're enjoying what we're doing, enjoying how we provide you the races each week, then it is £5 for the premium membership. I believe that's €5.60 and $6.30 if we're out in stateside. So yeah, that's the Invictus. We're enacting it this season. We're hoping you enjoy it. We're hoping that we get some fantastic premium members, and we will do our best to provide some more excellent racing and bring you the best quality that we can here at Invictus. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy the rest of the ride. And now, finally, just before we go on to the Hall of Fame and the calendar, which I'm sure you're all sitting there waiting and going, come on, guys, let's get the good stuff. It's just a bit of a social media push. Of course, we are trying to get as social and digital heavy as possible now. So if you haven't already, make sure you are already following either Coop's fantastic YouTube, Facebook group site, the Invictus Racing League, over on Facebook, and he posts, of course, all the race results, build-ups to the race, and equally some videos and some fantastic pictures after the races that are they are really well done there. So make sure, if you're not already, go over to Facebook and follow the Invictus Racing League site there. Equally, we are on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus RL on both of those, so you can go on there and make sure you've made an account. So if you do win a race or you do participate, we can tag you in these. We can get you involved in as much of the community as possible. And equally, make sure, if you're not already, that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. It helps us out massively. And equally, when you are watching the races, or if you are watching streams back equally, or if you're listening to the podcast, if you click the like button, the more likes we get on the video, the more it will become recommended to you and others on YouTube. So if you are watching the races and you are just sitting there and you can see that thumbs up in front of you, make sure you tick it, let it go bright blue. And the more likes we can get on these videos, the more we can get recommended, which means that we can push ourselves out to that wider audience, and we can start growing and get into that position that we'd really want to get to, because everyone here has got high aspirations, and we'd love to bring your races out to the wider audience. And we've seen the viewership in the racing last season absolute skyrocket. So you're all doing the right thing. Let's keep growing. Let's keep doing this together. So yeah, make sure you're following all the social media channels, and equally subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the like button if you are enjoying what we're doing. And now over to the very exciting Hall of Fame, and it's something you've been working on over the past almost 2 months now, maybe even more, that you've been working
probably,
on this.
Yeah, something like that. 2 months, yeah. I mean, a brief explanation if anybody's not quite aware. The Hall of Fame is an idea that I came up with a number of times when we had a couple of members doing very well at the beginning of the season, and we started asking questions about, well, how well is this guy doing? How does this compare to some of the greats that we had a couple of seasons ago? And nobody could answer these questions, which I found a bit odd. And we've doing a little bit of digging, a bit of research, I found that we actually had all the results, all the archive of the results going back to season 1, which was 7 seasons ago. So we'd obviously nobody'd found the time or whatever to put all this together, to compile all this into a database. And so then I did a couple of these, and then before I knew it would just fall into place in no time. And then I came up with the idea of why don't we? And I also think that we've done 8 seasons now. We've been going for 2 years. I mean, I wasn't here from the beginning, but we've been here for 2 years now, and I think if you start the statistics, the records out at the beginning, there's probably not a lot to look at. The numbers are pretty low, but I think now we've got to about 7, 8, going into our 9th season. I think now's the time where we can really start looking back, showing off what people have achieved, and as I mentioned a little bit ago, celebrating these guys that are doing. There's some guys, there's some figures which I'll get onto, which have some incredible numbers, some figures that will make people really stand up and give you the wow factor. So I think these things need to be celebrated. And so I came up with the idea of a Hall of Fame, creating a part on the website where we can host all this, we can host all the records for each of the leagues, and so that's where all the idea came from. And like you say, about 2 months, I think, or maybe about 2 months I've been working on it. There's been quite a bit of time I've put into it. It's probably the most time I've put into anything in this community, and I'm very pleased with what's come out the other side, because there's some great numbers there.
Yeah, I cannot wait for, and I know, Sab, you've been saying that you're excited for this one. Are you expecting to see your name at the top of any of the lists?
No. let's be realistic. Not a chance. I would love to see my name at the top of this list, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea. I cannot wait to get stuck into it and have a good look at all the figures and stats of everybody who I've raced with, not just myself. It is an absolutely fantastic idea. It's one to brag about, and also just in a way as well. If you was only interested in your own stats, just to see how you're doing yourself, whether it be the amount of races you've competed in or wins you've won in a certain league. It's a really, really good idea. I cannot wait to have a look for myself to see how bad I really am. But overall, though, it's I can't wait to have a good delve through it and see who is top of most of the leagues. I have a good idea, but I probably will be wrong.
Yeah.
And one thing I did want to add on to that as well is what you said there, Sab, is that it is about celebrating, but it's also something to allow other members, newer members, to look up to and to aspire to, and think, you start looking at these numbers, wow, and I think all of a sudden now we start looking at the records, we start displaying the records, it gives people something to aim at, and if that gives people extra motivation and that makes people push a little bit harder, then that's brilliant. But yeah, it does start, we're setting the bar now, and now we've set the bar, it's there for everyone to go chase.
Yeah, and I mean, Craig, the league and site director, he says massive thank you to Coop for putting in all the work with the statistics and the hard work and dedication. I think we can all echo that, and we all cannot wait for this. And Coop, just, I mean, a few questions on it. I'm sure that a lot of the guys in the comments, and I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. Do you think you'll be top of any of the stats in here? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think you're going to be doing well in? What do you think you're going to be doing bad in? Let us know. It'd be good to read your ideas and your thoughts. But Coop, just a few questions. And so how is it going to be laid out? Are we going to have maybe a top 5, a top 10 for some of the sections, or is it purely like the number 1 for each, or how have you've gone about laying out these stats?
Well, we've got plenty of stats on there. So what I would say is I think we've got 6 pages of statistics. So there's a lot of stuff to get your teeth into, especially if you want to look through all the leagues. We've got a statistics page for each league. On some of them, we've got top 5. We've definitely gone deeper than the top of each one. So we've got, on some of the categories, we've got the top 5, top 4, something like that. But then there are some categories such as race wins, race starts, and podiums. We've literally got the complete list. So we've got the list of everybody who's had a podium in a race at Invictus, everybody who's won a race, everybody who's even started a race. We've got all that on there. So we've got we've got plenty of stuff on there. We've also got some fun facts or some ones that maybe not so good, but yeah, we've got plenty of stuff on there. The one thing as well I did want to say is that this is, even though this is like an official launch, there's a lot more to come. And even though we've got the main meaty stats on there for now, there's a lot more to come, and we'll be adding more stuff on there. One thing I've not put on there is pole positions or anything to do with qualifying, because we don't have at the minute a definitive set of. We've only got the race results as definitive. So hopefully, if we can do a bit, we probably need. There's probably more work to come from now. More hard work needed. This is probably the easier part, but if we can start getting more statistics out there. Also, I think that the statistics are maybe about 98% accurate. It's obviously based on the league admins adding the results into our databases and the accuracy of that. And there are been a couple of discrepancies that I've come across along the way, and there'll probably be some more on there. And I completely encourage, if people find mistakes on there or something doesn't add up, I completely encourage people to get in touch with me. I'm MJ_Coop on PSN. Drop me a message and I will have a look into it. Tell me what you think's not right, and we'll look at correcting that. So, but yeah, this is one part of it, and once it's now going live, we're going to build on this, and anything that's not right, anything we can add to it, anything we can get more accurate, by all means, we'll be going there.
Yeah, cannot wait. And some of your guys' thoughts, guys, they're funny. And because wave until most wins in the season without getting a title, well, it could be true. We did see you have a decent battle with Betrayer a few seasons ago. But Coop, was there a particular league that you enjoyed doing that surprised you the most? What was the one that really stood out for you?
That's a tough one. Is that I don't know about one that really jumped out and stood out. Certainly the one with the more statistics in there is probably the Performance League. That is the longest running league that has just completed its 8th season. So that was the original season at Invictus. Performance League ran seasons 1 to 8 so far, whereas the other leagues have run seasons 3 to 8. The F3 league started in season 5. So the Performance League has got a lot more in there. There are things that we talk about and things that we think about, but when you actually look at the statistics, it all makes sense. And the Performance League, some of the numbers in the Performance League are not particularly stunning, because I think that is because the Performance League is doing its job in that it's evening out the field. So you'll see when you look at the Performance League page, there's no one really who's run away with the statistics. There's nobody that's there's a lot more. It's a lot more wider and a lot more broader. There's nobody really put together any serious winning streaks in the Performance League. I think the most wins that's ever been done in a season was 3 or 4, something like that. So, and we all know Skiesy famously won the league a couple of seasons back by not even winning a race. So that was an interesting one. We also have stuff like the F1 League, which tend to have quite a lot of people in there, but some people just coming and going. So yeah, they do vary. I leave everybody to have a look, but you'll see that you do see differences in the leagues. The Gnosis is probably a little bit more consistent. A lot of the guys been doing Gnosis League have been doing it for a while, so we have got some good numbers on that. But I'll let everybody have a look. But I'm quite happy to run through some of the top stats, some meaty ones. Anything you guys want to know, I've got a couple of stats for you guys here tonight as well. So I can we can go from there.
Yeah, go on. Let us know. I'm sure that I'll be on it straight away after this to look at all of mine.
Well, I don't want to go on too much because I know the numbers can get a little bit. But one for you two guys. I don't know if any of you've maybe seen this or worked this out. How many races would you say have taken place at Invictus since the very first race, which was in April 2017? How many races do you reckon we've had? If you had to guess.
Wow.
300? 300?
No,
I was gonna say about 280, 290, so similar to what Gareth said.
yeah, you boys are not too far out. The last race, which purely just doing it in league order, was the F3 race on last Wednesday gone, was the 348th race
Wow.
at Invictus. So we have the F1 League, which will start back up on Monday, and then the Performance League, which will be the 350th race. So we've done 348 individual races at Invictus, which is crazy. First one in April 2017, and the last one was last week. So just over 2.5 years worth, 348. So
Wow.
yeah, a couple of other meaty stats I'll run over for you. Some of them are quite widely known. World champions, we've had 20 something. I had that figure somewhere. But I picked out, the main ones is we've got 4 guys who've won 3 world championships, triple champions. Only 4 people have done that. Speed Queen, Sam Bam Kid, Scott Fielder and Mr. Skyzy, all triple world champions. So that's a pretty, I think a lot of people already knew that anyway, but that's a pretty good one. The highest points score ever was done this season by Scott Fielder, who's in the F1 League. 126 points. That's the most ever scored. There is a little gotcha on that, which is on the site. I've not included the no assist league this season. What I've done is I've worked out, because they had a bonus point system, as you guys both know. So I've taken that bonus out to work out an accurate coefficient, and so they would be less than 100 points. So Scott Fielder, 126 points. Won the league this year in the F1 League. And while we're on the subject of Scott Fielder, I know we've spoke about him a few weeks since he's taken a break, or he's left, or whatever you want to call it, on his 100th race. But I know we've gone on about it a bit, but the amount of statistics that Scott Fielder has is crazy. I'll just throw a few at you here. He's won the joint most champions, as I've just mentioned. He's a triple world champion, so he's the joint top of that. He's won the most races in the whole of Invictus. No one's won more races than Scott Fielder. 23 races he's won. No one's. He's 6 clear of the next person. So some of these guys need to go away to get over that one. He's got the most podiums of anybody. He's 8 clear of the next person. He's got the highest season point score ever, as I've just mentioned to you, 126. He's got the joint most consecutive wins in consistence. I think that was 5 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. Got that somewhere. He's got the joint most wins in a season as well. So and he's also the joint second season win percentage. So if you take a season, if you work it out as a percentage, he's the joint second on that. So and he's on 9th on the all-time start list with 100 starts. So and I've just thrown some out that you might not get all that, but he's at the top of a number of lists, is Scott Fielder. So, and he's only been with us for 100 races, which is 3 seasons, I think, something like that. So to rise to the top is phenomenal, really.
Yeah, less than a third of course, Invictus's races, and Scott Fielder, as you said there, and I think a lot of the drivers will probably be a little bit glad that Scope's taking that extended break away, because it gives them a chance to catch up. So yeah, coming away and stealing the rest of the other points. But yeah, Coop, fantastic work, mate. It's we cannot wait. You can see the guys in the comments are absolutely buzzing, ready to look at the stats this evening. And whoever thought people would get so excited for statistics? And but yeah, it's going to be a really, really good one. Cannot wait to see it. It'll be on the website, guys. It'll be at the top on the hotbar. You can go to the Hall of Fame section. As soon as the stream is over, we'll put it live. And
before you go as well, I've got a couple of stats for you guys. Because I'm sure you guys are buzzing to know you'd be very surprised that you're both very closely matched. So Captain Steve, aka Gareth, started 74 races. Sab has started 65 races. Gareth, how many races have you won? Can you remember that?
4.
Close, 5.
Oh, even better.
5 wins. Sab, how many races have you won? Can you remember that now?
I'd say about 4 or 5. I'd say
a little bit more. You've won 7 races.
Wow.
Somehow.
Majority of them have come in the Performance League, but yeah, Gareth has had 14 podiums. Sab has had 12. Gareth has obviously won a championship. Gareth, can you remember back to your first race? Can you remember when that was?
Bahrain season 5, 6, I think.
Close. It goes back. It was Bahrain season 4. Can you remember what league it was in?
F2 at the time, I think it was.
Yeah, a couple of people think that you moved up to the F2 league this season, but you actually started in the F2 league for a handful of races, and you finished 9th on your first ever race. Sab, can you remember your first race?
Not a clue.
Invictus?
No.
It was the Canadian Grand Prix in the Performance League, which was season 3, and you came 4th in that race in your first race.
Oh wow!
I should add there was only 8 people started the race, but
I remember that race now. Actually, yeah, because I was with DeLanger in that race. I remember that now. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, Gareth's first win was in Bahrain in Performance League season 7. Sab's first win was Japan Performance League season 4. Do you remember that one in Suzuka? I think you had the Ferrari that day.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
Win percentages, Gareth is on 7%, Sab is on 11%, so that's all the races
Take
he's done.
that.
So Sab's won a little bit more. Sab has won 2 consecutive races, which was in season 6 of the Performance League. How many points do you reckon you boys have both scored? If you added up every point you've scored, do you have a clue? No?
Not a clue.
190-ish, 180?
Nowhere near. 383
Wow.
for Steph.
What?
276 for Sab. That includes all the leagues you've
Wow.
been in. And Gareth has most points in a season. Do you remember what that is, Gareth, for you?
Oh, championship, it would have been 119, something like that.
Spot on, yeah. Spot on. I believe that is second in the all-time list as well, behind Scott Fielder's 126, I think. Oh, it could be third, it's one of the two, I can't remember. It's very high up to score 119 in seasons. Pretty good. Sab's most was 70 in F3 last season, just gone. So that was your best season ever. So yeah. One other one I did throw out there, because I know he's dying to know, is Craig. I threw out a couple of stats for Craig. He's in the 100 club. He's done over 100 races, 111 races Craig has started. Unfortunately, he's only won 5 of those races, so that's a win percentage of 5%. 14 podiums. He's never won a championship. His first win was in season 1 of the Performance League, was Craig's in USA, and his last win was fairly recently in Australia in F3 season 8. 470 points Craig has scored in his whole career, and the most he got was 78 in his very first season, season 1 of the Performance League. He came runner-up in that season, so he missed out on the championship. Can't remember the guy, I've got it somewhere, but yeah, 78 points for Craig. So yeah, there are a number of things in here, and that show, I think you mentioned on one of the podcasts, Gareth, about Scott Fielder's stats, and then when you look at the win percentages of 7% for you, Gareth, and 11% for you, Sab, and just out of interest, mine's 8%, so mine's in between both of you. You then realise that Scott Fielder's win percentage of 23% is just ridiculous. So yeah, there's a couple of other stats I don't want to go on too much, because I'll let the guys get into it when it goes live shortly. But there are a couple of other stats I just wanted to run over. There are some ridiculous stats on here. There are some stats that I just find incomprehensible. Who do you think has done the most ever starts? Who's raced the most times, would you say, guys? If you had a guess.
Um,
Who do you think's done the most starts ever? Bear in mind we've done 300 and...
It's got to be like someone who's been from the beginning, I'd say, like Craig or something like that, I'd say.
What would you say, Gareth?
I've no idea. I'm going to go with DeLanger, but I've no idea.
Nah, the most starts ever is Mike, 163.
Yeah, of course.
163 races, and he's literally one race behind his Spud with 162. So those guys have been doing some ridiculous things. And there's another statistic which I think is, so the most consecutive race starts. So that is how many races you've done back to back in one league. And imagine that there's 12 races in there's typically always been 12 races in a season. So if you guys said you did about 30 odd. That's pretty impressive. Would you both agree?
Mhm.
30 races back to back. So that's about 3 seasons without missing a race. So we've got quite a few guys around 30 odd, which I think is just a massive achievement. But then one guy just takes it to a completely new level. And the most consecutive race starts ever was by Spud with 55, which I just find a phenomenal number. Bahrain season 1 to Canada season 5, never missed a race in the Performance League. So 55 races without missing a race. So the next guy is Mike on 43, so he's a season behind. So I can't imagine that will ever be beaten, but you never know. We have got no one really near that could even. Skies is on 36, and he's the current active person at the minute. So he's another 19 races behind. So he's another 2 seasons behind. So he needs to race every race in the Performance League for 2 seasons to even look at beating that record. So, as I was saying, there are some crazy records in here, and there's some really good ones. And like I say, I'll let you guys all get into it. Scott Fielder's won the most races, more than anybody. Gamer De Best is second on 17, and then with Intel, Ton Albanach, he's on 13. So that's your top 3 on overall wins. So yeah, some crazy stats in here, and they will all be going shortly live after the stream is finished. The website address will be www.invictusracingleague.com/Hall of Fame. That's all one word. It's also on the Invictus Racing League homepage. There's a button at the top. It's there now, but you can't get into it until I turn it on. And there's literally there's a stats page for all the leagues. There's also an overall stats page where we put everything together, which is some of the numbers I've just thrown out to you. So that'll be going live 5-10 minutes after we finish the stream. And yeah, I'll let you all have a good look and see what your thoughts are on that.
Well, thanks for that, Coop, because I'm sure that's whetted all of our appetites. Because after hearing some of those stats, that it's nice to know I've got a few over on Sab there as well. So so it's cannot wait to look at the rest of them. And yeah, congratulations and thanks for all your hard work on that, because that's some great stuff. And yeah, as he said, guys, make sure you go to the website invictusracingleague.com/Hall of Fame to look at those. We'll also push them out on our socials. So Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook. So all of the page will be sent out on all of those socials as well. And now to finish off, and of course it's what everyone wanted to hear, and it's the calendar for season 9. And we will start off on the 4th of November. So 4th of November we will begin on Monday nights for the IRL F1 League, and it's going to be a brilliant pre-season. It's going to be great fun for us to all to watch what goes on, and we will be starting off in China at the Shanghai International Circuit. That will be pre-season 1 of 2 in China. And Coop and Sab, of course, will go to think both of your thoughts here. A good circuit for overtaking. It's got, of course, that almost mile-long straight from the exit of turn 13 down to the hairpin, and but also sector 2, very tight and twisting, and it's a good one for these guys to kind of get their eye in after a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, it really is. I remember not long back on the podcast how much I hated this track, and then I got 2 podiums here, and suddenly I love it. But in all seriousness, it is a really good track to add into the pre-season and get your eye in for the new season. So yeah, it's a good first warm up to the season.
Coop, so China, is it one that you're a fan of? Is it something that you find? Of course, they've got that off-camber long turn 13, almost a snail-like exit to that long straight. Running no assists, as I'm sure you will be again this season. Is it one that it's particularly hard on the car?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good track. I actually think it's probably one of the better races as a no assist driver. You get a lot of medium speed flowing corners, so there's not too many big braking zones or the ones that sometimes catch you out, we notice this, are not necessarily the big braking zones, but the smaller braking zones like Singapore, where you have to be gentle on the brakes. So China's not too bad. The first corner you can take it round, and then the rest of the track has got a decent flow to it. The only big braking point is the end of the straight. So I don't mind China. I think it's a decent way to gather people's pace in pre-season and see where we're going to be.
Yep. And China, one of my favourites actually on the calendar. So really looking forward to starting off the season the week commencing the 4th of November. So of course IRL F1 on the 4th, realistic performance on the 5th, and equal performance F2 and F3 on the 6th of November. On to the final race of pre-season 2, and we will be heading to the land of the rising sun, over to the Suzuka International Racecourse and the Japanese Grand Prix. And another particularly, or can be quite tricky circuit, especially for overtaking. Of course, 130R highlighting one of the most iconic corners on the F1 calendar, or what used to be. It's seemingly you can do it one-handed these days. But Sab, is it Japan? It's one of those tracks that will test our drivers, because although it has a lack of overtaking, when you are going to go for those moves, you have to pick your points. So this is one that really tests your racecraft.
It really does, and it's very different, isn't it, to China? It's got a lot of fast-flowing corners, and like you say, and like we pointed out in previous podcasts as well, it is difficult to overtake around here, but if you can get the move done and you get it done cleanly, it feels very rewarding. And I think as well with this track, when it comes to qualifying, it feels really rewarding when you can really nail a lap and you've pushed the car to the very limit and get it across that line, and you feel really good. I really enjoy racing around the Japanese Grand Prix. It'll be a definite test, especially right before the brand new season. So yeah, two very different tracks, but two very good tracks there for us, for all the leagues to sink their teeth into.
Absolutely. So two very interesting tracks to start and then end pre-season. Two pre-season races as usual. They will be on the week commencing the 4th of November and the 11th of November. So the season will begin the week commencing the 18th of November. And Coop, I'm sure you'll be happy. You've been after this one for a while, and we're over to the Hungaroring in Hungary, and it's a track that you enjoy.
Yep. I've done well in it. We didn't have it last season. I think it was the first season on F1 2018. I think we had it, and that was a pre-season race as well. So if I'm right, I don't think we've had this track since F1 2017 as a proper race. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's got a decent flow to it. I know some people don't like it; they find it a Mickey Mouse track, but I feel like it's good to get in a good flow. And again, it's a little bit like China. You've got the big braking zone into one, but then you've got a decent flow around the rest of the track, and it's easy to get into the rhythm. So I enjoy this track.
Of course, it's on track, but feels like a street circuit. That's what they always say around this one for Hungaroring. So round 1, 18th of November, week commencing 18th of November, we will begin in Hungary, just outside of Budapest. And I believe Sab, you'll be going this year for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So you can just get your eye in for this one. But I'm sure you'll be looking forward to round 2, because round 2 will be going back to Germany for the Hockenheim Ring.
Yes, finished the season off in the Performance League with a win around Germany last season. I enjoy Germany. It's good that we've kept it on the calendar. It does promote plenty of overtaking, especially down to turn 6, where there is opportunity to send one down the inside or even round the outside if you can. There's always plenty of overtaking zones with the DRS as well activated. So good to see Germany still on the calendar, especially with the next year's game and the next year's calendar not having Germany on it. So this probably could be one of the last times we see Germany on this game. So it's really good to keep it on there.
Yeah, big fan of Germany, and we had some good races to end the season. Of course, we had the championship decider in the No Assist League last season that we saw that Mercedes 1-2 in front of the home crowd. So, yeah, Germany round 2 is going to be a pretty stark contrast to Hungary, of course, with that long straight on the exit of turn 4 and turn 5 all the way down to the hairpin. So, yeah, round 2 for Hockenheimring in Germany. On to round 3, and it's back to everyone's favourite, and we missed it off the calendar last season, and people wanted it back, and it is back. And of course, it is the Silverstone Grand Prix, or the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Coop back in Silverstone, missed it last season, and it's one of those iconic circuits, of course. And I'm sure the community would be glad to see it back on the calendar.
Yeah, probably. It is iconic. It's an iconic track. It doesn't bother me that much. I mean, it is the British Grand Prix. I mean, you can see, as you can see on the stream there, track difficulty easy. So I don't. This is just me personally, but I don't get excited about this track at all. I think it's done far too much. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's got a good flow to it, and I like the high speed of it and everything. But yeah, it's all right. I think it's not one of my favourites.
Just this is often a question I pose to Sab in the podcast that we do, and of course, guys, if you don't listen to the podcast, make sure you do. It's uploaded to YouTube and equally to SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. And we talk about F1, not about Invictus, we talk all about F1. But if you weren't to run the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, have you got a particular track around the UK that you'd like it to be run at?
Probably not. I don't think there's any other tracks that are suitable. Brands Hatch is probably too dated and narrow. I think Donington is very similar as well. That's still quite narrow and needs an update. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd probably like to see another race around Donington, but I'm sure when people see that you get this the twisty circuit where you can't really overtake, and then the tight slow corners at the end, people will be moaning saying, "Oh, we need to go back to Silverstone." So in my opinion, it's probably the best track we've probably got right now. I mean, I personally think it was completely ruined when they put the bit in the middle. I kind of lost all interest in the track then, but it's a really good track to go, and I think I'm just more like talking in terms of the game. I don't think there's probably anywhere better, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, round 3 will be at Silverstone British Grand Prix. On to round 4, and another track that we've not had on the calendar for what feels like quite a long time, and it's the Sochi Autodrome for the Russian Grand Prix. And Sab, we saw in the real F1 that long drag down to turn 1 can really give you a benefit. And I'm sure we can expect to see these guys doing the same. Perhaps starting on the pole isn't the best place here.
No, definitely not. It could prove a massive disadvantage. Let's hope we don't have any squabbles like the Ferrari boys were doing, moaning on the radio. But yeah, Russia, like you say, we haven't had it for a while. I'm a bit indifferent to Russia. I find it quite boring in places, to be honest. It feels, like we've discussed, it feels a bit soulless. It feels a bit just put on there just for the sake of it. But it's good to have it on the calendar just because it's something different. We're not just having the same old races, the same old tracks, season in, season out, and it'll only challenge everybody within the leagues to really go at it and try and find the best time possible around there.
Yeah. So Russia back on the calendar, a little bit of a car park, but it will change up the grid or change up the league ever so slightly to see different tracks on the calendar. And so on to round 5, and this will be the last round before the Christmas break. We will take a break over the Christmas period. I believe it's two weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So this will be the week commencing the 16th of December, will be the 5th round. So that will be held at, the Circuit of the Americas, and it will be held in the USA. And Coop, COTA, it's some people find a little bit of a Marmite circuit, and it's taken a lot of its corners have come from inspirational from different tracks around the world. What's your feelings when it comes to COTA?
Yeah, I don't mind this track. Well, I've won 3 of my 7 races at this track, which is probably coincidental, but yeah, I don't mind this track. Yeah, it's good. It's again, if you want to talk, yeah, from like the no assist point of view, it's got a good flow to it. So I like the first braking where it's difficult to find a braking point at the first corner. It's quite wide, and then yeah, the flow through the first sector and into the second sector is pretty good. Then you've got the long straight for the overtaking, and then the last sector is a bit more technical. Yeah, it can be a bit of a nightmare at times, especially for stuff like DRS. When the guy behind you's, and you've got no DRS yourself, you can be quite easily overtaken. But I think then the last corners promote a bit like you go down the inside, then I go down the inside the next corner, and then you go on the inside of the next corner. So you can get some good side-by-side battles. So it should be good for the racing, and yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah, it should be all right.
Yeah, so that will be the last round. So that will be the 5th round before Christmas, the week commencing the 16th of December. We'll be back after the Christmas and New Year holiday period, and this will be the week commencing the 6th of January. And we'll be to the Caspian Sea, or the coastline of the Caspian Sea, and we'll be back on the calendar for a long time. We haven't seen it on the main calendar, maybe not at all, but yeah, it's Azerbaijan, it's Baku, and Sab. Are you going to make it through the castle section, lap 1?
I probably won't even make it before the castle section. I am absolutely terrible at this track. I'll be honest. I've just never got to grips with it. I can understand the appeal of it. It's got a lot of challenging corners, especially like you point out the castle section. It is really difficult to get that right through there consecutively, lap after lap. There is opportunities as well round towards the end of the lap to get that toe and put DRS down to the start finish straight. It's got a mixture of street circuit and like normal circuit. I can see why people like it, but I like to call it a Marmite track. You either love it or you hate it, and for me, I pretty much hate it.
So yeah, Baku will be the first race after Christmas. So yeah, maybe time to shift some of that Christmas weight and sweat it off as you try and get through that castle section. Back on the 6th, or the week commencing the 6th of January, and on to round 7. And it'll be a track that we see a lot, but it does provide some absolutely spectacular racing, and that is down in Bahrain for the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakhir. And Coop, it's one of the tracks we see a lot of overtaking, especially down into the braking zone in turn 1, but equally we've seen some magnificent side-by-side battling through almost the entire second sector. What are you expecting from the Bahrain race at round 7? Are you expecting the same that we've seen in multiple seasons? Because having looked back through the stats, I'm sure you can say that we seem to have Bahrain on the calendar, but it's a popular circuit.
Yeah, Bahrain has been on the calendar more track times than any other, so that's another stat for you. But yeah, it's a good track. I expect the exact same as what we saw last time, where now they've added a third DRS zone. It's a bit of a Mario Kart track where you have DRS and I do, and then you do, and yeah, I expect side-by-side battles. Strategy can be a bit of a mixture, but I mean we're not going to see any rain, so it's probably easy for the guys to practice on and practice the strategies. But yeah, it's a decent track. I think it's generally liked by most people. So, but that sometimes works against people, because if everybody likes the track, everyone gets good at it, everyone practices on it more, and so we tend to see closer racing. So maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but yeah, it's a decent track.
Yeah, looking forward to Bahrain, and it's definitely one of the most, as Sab said when we were talking about it in the Gnosis League, it's definitely the most aesthetically pleasing on the game, with the light shining off and the new lighting model on the game. So yeah, can't wait for Baku for round 7 of this season, and round 8, and missed it off the calendar last season. I'm really excited to see it back, and it's a track that I went to this season for the race, and we're back in Italy. We're back at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, and Sab, it's the home of Ferrari and home of Tifosi, but equally it's a very, very fast and very popular circuit. Are you excited to see Monza back on the calendar?
Yeah, I am. I actually thought we missed it last year, not having it on the calendar. I love racing around here. have had many good battles around here, and I've also had a few incidents around here. It can bite you if you're not careful, especially coming out of a Scari, for example. It can be quite tricky, but yeah, for me, an F1 calendar without the Italian Grand Prix on is not quite right. So to see it back on the calendar is definitely a good thing for me.
Yeah, cannot wait for Monza. Enjoyed my time there, and hopefully we'll be enjoying it in F2 next season. And now on to round 9 of the season, and it's stark contrast from the Italian Grand Prix. And I don't even need to flick through the rest of the calendar because there it is. It's Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore, and Coop, it's a tight, tricky circuit. You can see multiple different weather conditions throughout the race. Are you expecting, 4 different races over the week here in Invictus, and one could be heavy rain, one could be completely dry, and it's one of those races that's pretty unpredictable from the moment it starts to the moment it finishes.
Yeah, it's always an unpredictable race. You're going to get people clipping the barrier. You're going to get people burning the tyres out, or there's also promotes overtaking in certain parts. Unlike Monaco, it's got the curbs, and then it's got the bit of tarmac after that, so it does allow mistakes. So yeah, it can be a good race. The weather, I find that a bit odd, to be honest, because I think in 12 years it's only ever had a light sprinkling of rain ever at Singapore. Yet on this game, you seem to get rain every time you play it. So I probably expect, like you said, one of the 4 races will be affected by the rain. Which one is probably a dip in the hat, but yeah, looking forward to it. It's one of my favourite tracks. I love the challenge. I find the concentration, it's a different challenge to Monaco, but really enjoy the concentration levels on it, and I generally seem to do alright here, so yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yep, that will be round 9 of the season. Round 10 is a completely different prospect to Singapore once again. We go back to the fast tracks, and we go back to Austria, Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring, and the shortest circuit on the calendar when it comes to lap time, with a lap time just over 60 seconds. And Sab, plenty of overtaking, very, very quick. It's always one of those tracks that promotes close racing, and we've seen some real crackers of some races in the past here.
You've took the words out of my mouth there. I was literally just about to say we've probably had some of the best races in Invictus around this track. We've commentated on some great races around here, some great close races as well, with some brilliant overtakes. For me, it always provides good racing around here. Like you say, it's the shortest track on the calendar, so to have it on the calendar again is a definite plus for me. It's for us commentating on the Monday night to race in it on a Tuesday and Wednesday for myself. It's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to get back onto this track.
Yeah, really like it, Austria. Really looking forward to it, and it looks like a lot of the guys in the comments are looking forward to it and looking forward to this calendar at the moment. It seems to be going down quite well. So we go on to round 11 of 12, and it's down to South America, and we are off to the Brazilian Grand Prix at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Interlagos. And Coop, it's another one that can see rain-affected races, and equally it's had some iconic races in the past in real F1. It's had some pretty decent close fights here in Invictus, and it's that off camber turn 1 down through the center S's down into turn 2 and turn 3. And is it a track here that you're looking forward to? Because it can be relatively difficult to overtake on unless you've got DRS.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mind it. Yeah, I neither hate it nor I love it. It's a decent track. The curbs are fairly flat and long, or wide, should I say. So it does allow you to again ride on the curbs a little bit. So the infield section is just the kind of technical part, especially with the when you go to the second hairpin and the camber on that. So that can be a bit tricky. But yeah, it's generally a good track. There's a nice long DRS straight on it, so again promotes good overtaking right down into the first corner, and then down the straight on the back straight. So yeah, it should promote good overtaking, and it should be we could be seeing championships decided at this race, with it being back of the season. So yeah, should be a good race, that one.
Yep. Penultimate race of the season, round 11, will be in Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix. And the week commencing the 17th of February 2020 will be our final race of season 9. And that will be exactly where they are this weekend, and it is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. And Mexico hosting the final race of this season. Of course, that long, dusty run down to Turn 1, the sweeping section through Sector 2, and of course into the stadium section. Ticker tape parading down over the winner as he comes around through the stadium section of the final race to come across around the Mansell hairpin and across the line. And it's going to be Sab. It's going to be a good way to end the season. A circuit that I know you're not particularly a fan of, but it does kind of keep you on your toes, this one, because some fast corners, some slow corners. It's got a real mix of action on track.
It really has. It's got that really long straight for the start finish section as well. Coming out of the I think probably one of the best sections on Formula One now is that stadium section where the fans are pretty much on top of the cars looking down on the track. That section is absolutely fantastic. But on a racing point, it is quite tricky, and you can easily lose time through there if you get your braking wrong. But Mexico final race should provide plenty of action, and if there's any championships on the line going into the final race, it should make it a spectacular one to watch and commentate on. So yeah, that's as much as I'm not keen on it, it should make it a great final race for this calendar.
Yeah, cannot wait for this calendar. Looking absolutely stacked with some mixes of fast tracks and slow and tricky tracks. So everything there that will really test you out as a driver. And just to look at the comments, seeing the guys seem like it's gone down quite well. FPL Charlie comes in and is disappointed that Abu Dhabi's not on the calendar. Abu Dhabi can absolutely get in the bin. So Sav knows my thoughts on the Abu Dhabi circuit. So, but yeah, it's going to be a fantastic one. So it starts off, pre-season 1 will begin on the 4th of November in China. Pre-season 2 will be in Japan, in Suzuka. Round 1 will begin on the 18th of November at the Hungaroring in Hungary. Round 2 in Germany. Round 3 is in Silverstone in the UK. Round 4 is Russia at the Sochi Autodrome. Round 5 at Kosa at the USA. That is week commencing the 16th of December. Then we go on the Christmas break. We'll be back on the 6th of January for the Azerbaijani Grand Prix in Baku. Bahrain is round 7. Round 8 is in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Round 9, Marina Bay for Singapore. Round 10 is the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Round 11, the penultimate race of the season, is in Brazil, Interlagos. And round 12, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. And that will round out season 9 and what is going to be what is shaping up to be a fantastic season. You should all, if you are already involved in the league, have been placed into it so far. So make sure you get excited, you get amped, and equally, if you are listening to this and you want to get yourself on the grid for next season, go to the Apply to Race section and get yourself on the grid for next season. There are spaces left, and equally we are always looking for reserves. We're always looking for new people to come into the league and come into the community. And of course, you can go and find us on all of the socials by going to Invictus Racing League on Facebook, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, we've got the YouTube channel that if you're not subscribed already, to make sure you create an account and subscribe. And then equally, as I said earlier, if you click that like button every time you do it, pushes up through the algorithm that makes us higher in the recommendations for yourself and others if you're ever watching any more races. So make sure you press that like button if you're not already. Equally, subscribe and ding the bell to be notified when we go live for any streams. Of course, Monday night is Sab and I for F1. Tuesday night is Tim and Malc for the Realistic Performance League, and then Wednesday night is F2 and F3. F2 is with Energy Dan and the Warrislander. F3 is with Tim and Malc. And of course, on Thursday nights, we equally have the GT Sport DTM League, and they have their first pre-season race going on as we speak. So GT Sport DTM League is currently going on at the moment if you'd like to get involved in GT Sport. But that's us done for this evening. So if you want to join us, we will be back, or Sab and I will be back next Thursday. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled F1 podcast, talking all things Mexican Grand Prix, I'm sure, and all the fallout from that. So make sure you join us next Thursday here on the YouTube channel. It will get streamed onto YouTube from 8 p.m. on Thursdays, uploaded to Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes if you want to listen to it back. Thank you very much for joining us, Coop, and once again, thanks for all your hard work when it comes to the Hall of Fame. It's been great having you on, mate.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm also looking forward to people's reactions on the Hall of Fame. I'd be interested to see what people. I'm waiting for people to tell me that there's half of it's wrong. So, but no, but thanks for having me. Really excited to launch this, and looking forward to the reactions to come.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, and as always, Sab, it's been a good one, and we've got a week off, and then we'll be back next Thursday, and I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to F1. Of course, Renault being disqualified from the Japanese results, and that will be doing wonders for you McLaren boys, and I'm sure you can get in a quick word about how that's made you feel today.
Well, if they wasn't being so naughty, then they wouldn't be in this position right now. But from what I've been quickly reading, they got found out through a GoPro video, what was on Daniel Ricciardo's car. So they've kind of caught themselves out, if that is true. Apparently that's where Racing Point have got their evidence from. But it will, when next week when we're back to normal with the podcast, I'm sure we can delve deeper into this and the Mexican Grand Prix, what's going to be happening this weekend.
Yep, so cannot wait for that. So thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're loving the calendar. If you are, let us know. Of course, you can find us on Twitter. You can go and find Coop at MJ_Coop_81. For Sab, you can go to @Alan Sabatino, and for myself, you go @GT2_driving. And let us know how you find the calendar, if you like in the Hall of Fame, and equally if you're excited for the season coming up. And thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're looking forward to next season. We're looking forward to bringing it to you. And equally, if you've got any questions, feel free to send them over to us. And have a great one, guys. Enjoy your break and start to get amped for season 9. And we will see you hopefully very, very soon. Good night.